sports.
All right, so story out of Memphis. I had this sent to me on the direct message, my Twitter feed at David Smoak. Memphis gets State General Assembly approval for $350 million in stadiums initiative. The Memphis mayor, Jim Strickland, one step closer to being answered the big ask. On Thursday, the Tennessee Senate approved their version of Governor Lee's $55.6 million budget, including $350 million to fund major renovation projects at Simmons Bank, that's Liberty Bowl, Simmons Bank, Liberty Stadium, FedEx Forum, and also AutoZone Park, as well as construction of a proposed soccer stadium on the site of Mid-South Coliseum. So Memphis putting some money, it looks like, into their facilities. Memphis was a big discussion point for us back in the fall of 2021 when the Big 12 was trying to figure out what they would do to react to Texas and OU. We discussed it with them quite a bit. The sportscasters we had on from Memphis all said that Memphis was ready to go. They did have an outgoing president. The word I got back then, and I think we were pretty much right there, hammer to the nail every time, was that there might have even been paperwork sitting on a couple of different schools' desks, like, we're ready. I mean, are you all in or not? But I got to believe the Memphis sportscasters know what they're talking about. But maybe this is, they had the door closed, period. And who knows if that ever opens up again. I like Memphis. I know a lot of people don't. I think most people go, no, we don't need Memphis. We don't need UNLV. We don't need this or that. They don't beat Boise. I'm kind of always for the underdog. But I think Memphis has some opportunities there, like Vegas does, but I'm not saying that's for the Big 12 anytime soon.
Yeah, I do think that once you upgrade that stadium, which was very, very old and dilapidated, and move on, I think that's good. They've got a really cool downtown. Memphis is a very kind of industrial city for the most part. FedEx is there, DHL, like they've got a lot of, big industry there. It's not as much of a, if you just compare it to some of the towns like in the SEC around it, it's a little bit different. But I do think that it's a city that can support big time college athletics for sure. They'd have some big, money donors in there eventually, especially when things start getting exciting. So I do think that long-term potential, they can hang with the big boys if the money continues to be right, and timing was just a little bit off for them as the last time.
So that gets you the Tennessee market, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that how we're doing this? SMU's the Texas market.
Yeah.
Then UNLV will be the Nevada market, right? That's how it works. Transitive property.
Memphis would Memphis. We're just talking here.
Yeah.
Memphis might be more Birmingham, right? In that area, like that southern part of.
Well, it's Tennessee.
No, I know it's the state of Tennessee. I understand that, but it is really actually it's right. North of the Mississippi border.
If you're going to say SMU adds Texas as homes, then you're adding Tennessee as homes. And if we're just going to be that generic about it, then that seems like a good idea. Just like, what are you going to balloon to, though?
Yeah, and
how many teams are we going for? We going for 18? We going for 20? Is that what's needed? Like, is that what the Big 12 needs to do in the future? I don't know. That's a question that's better answered by Brett Yormark, I would think, because what are the others going to do? What are you setting up for? If there are these things like, the ACC thing still kind of, the embers are burning, even though there's not really anything close to, it appears, happening at the moment. But, there is this whole thing of if you've got some empty bus seats that are pretty valuable, are you just going to start welcoming on people right now? Or are you trying to reserve those to see like if there's not some higher prices you can raise for those bus seats? And if there's people on shaky ground, then there's not a need to move on a Memphis or on a UNLV necessarily, unless there's just something about them that we're missing, or they are such a undiscovered gold mine that you have to make that move, which that's a Brett Yormark decision.
Okay, and that's again, right now we know who they're locked in on. Like if you're up in the sky with the fighter pilots, right?
Okay. So also ask yourself this: is Memphis versus Iowa State something that someone at ESPN is going to say great? Is UNLV versus West Virginia something that they're going to be like, oh, good, that will counter Notre Dame versus Ohio State on NBC tonight?
Utah against Brigham Young would be something that caught their attention.
So that's where it is. So like that's one of the things that you have to think about when you throw in these schools is who's in your league and who can help you. Because if it was Utah versus BYU, boom. If it's BYU versus, Colorado in the Big 12, then you've got something you're talking about here. Right now, I think with those other schools that are, still trying to grow into something, you have to let them get there before
All right.
the networks are going to be excited about it.
Andre